Millville, South Jersey's talk station.
Suing to stop subpoenas. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump, his daughter Ivanka, and sons Don Jr. and Eric want a judge in New York to stop House Democrats from getting their business records.
A federal lawsuit against Deutsche Bank and Capital One Bank in an attempt to block them from complying with congressional subpoenas. President Trump calling it another example of what he considers presidential harassment. But House Democrats say they are just performing their oversight duties.
That's Fox's Sean Lange with the special counsel done in the Mueller report and the deputy attorney general who oversaw the investigations on his way out. Rod Rosenstein, long rumored to be leaving, finally will May 11th. Next stop, Iowa for Joe Biden. 4 rallies in 2 days after the former VP turned Democratic presidential frontrunner kicked off his campaign in Pennsylvania.
If I'm going to be able to beat Donald Trump in 2020, it's going to happen here.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland is live in Pittsburgh.
Dave, Biden told a rally here he's the candidate to beat the president in 2020, but are Pennsylvanians on board? I spoke to a lifelong Democrat who switched in 2016. He said he's sticking with President Trump, saying, I don't think Trump has done a bad job. He gets negative stuff. Everyone just puts him down. But others here think Biden has a good chance at the White House. The former vice president appealed to unionized workers at the Teamster Temple, saying corporations are squeezing workers for their own gain. He also called for a $15 minimum wage. Dave.
Rachel, a terror plot thwarted in California. Mark Domingo arrested, accused of wanting to bomb a white nationalist rally.
Mr. Domingo is a former United States Army soldier who served in Afghanistan and is also a recent convert to Islam.
U.S. Attorney Nick Hanna, a call for a military uprising from Venezuela's opposition leader. Juan Guaido stood with soldiers at a Caracas air base, and a freed activist called for peaceful protests. A socialist leader called it a U.S. coup attempt, urging Venezuelans to rally to support the disputed President Maduro. This is Fox News.
All right, welcome to F-150 Radio. Call from Georgia. Chad, what's shaking in Macon?
I know the F-150 kicks butt and takes names.
Like how the high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy F-150 thrashes the competition with best-in-class towing and torque?
Mm-hmm, not surprised. Totally saw that coming.
Chad, how do you know so much about F-150 beating the competition?
I drive the competition. Got a 10-year lease.
Kind of embarrassing, huh?
Maybe I shouldn't advertise that fact on a national talk radio show.
Good call. The Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar.
Best-in-class claims with properly configured vehicles. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds GVWR based on Ford segmentation.
Now get a 2019 F-150 with 0% financing for 72 months, only at your Ford dealer. Not all buyers will qualify for Ford credit financing. 0% APR financing for 72 months at $1,389 per month per thousand finance, regardless of down payment. Program number 21038 on 2019 Ford F-150. Not available on Raptor. Residency restrictions apply. Take new retail delivery from an authorized Ford dealer stock by 4/30/19. See dealer for qualifications and complete details.
A little bit of everything to start your Tuesday off with. Some fog blanketing the Garden State and drizzle to light rain. Slight chance of thunderstorms later on today. In between, highs just in the lower 60s in North Jersey, upper 70s south. Overnight, a few showers linger, lows in the mid-40s in the north, more like 50s central and south. Cloudy on Wednesday with showers possible in the afternoon. North to south, we're looking at all the way from the low 50s to mid-70s. Some peaks of sun Thursday. I'm Patrick Lavery, in for Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow on the Town Square, New Jersey Weather Network.
It's spring cleaning time at New Jersey American Water. Each year they give a good flushing of the pipes in the nearly 200 communities they serve. This includes surging water through the pipes and running some of the fire hydrants. While spring cleaning won't interrupt your water service, some New Jersey American Water customers may experience brief periods of low water pressure or water discoloration. If you experience water discoloration when crews are in your area, simply run your cold water until it's clear. To find out when your community is scheduled and for more information, visit NewJerseyAMWater.com.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Hey, thanks very much. Welcome back. This portion of Hurley in the Morning presented by Chuck Malamut, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program for our entire existence, which now has hit the 27-plus year mark, July 1, 1992 to the present. The following program, presented by Chuck, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this program are those of Chuck Malamut, do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast, subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, member SIPC. And on this record-setting day, yet again, record-setting day, ladies and gentlemen, Chuck Malamut.
Good morning, Harry.
Good morning.
Kirk, good morning.
We are having a wonderful morning, Chuck.
And now Debbie Downer's here. So,
and I'll be going to Morgan Stanley today to deposit thousands more at the branch. I mean, this is a great day.
Yeah, we're going to have to send over the armored car for you, Harry.
Make a habit of this.
As you know, we did not take cash, but that's okay. We'll take your checks. We're good at that.
Thank you.
Anyway, last week the equity markets again posted record highs. We carried them into yesterday with another update. S&P was up 1.2% for the week. There was a lot of discussion around earnings and what earnings would be in the first quarter, and a lot of the estimates were ratcheted down. And what we're seeing now is that the great majority of earnings are either meeting or beating. Truth be told, Harry, that after the close yesterday, Alphabet or Google announced I don't want to say it was a pretty good miss, but their stock was off pre-market about 7 to 7.5%. So as I looked just on the way out this morning, the Nasdaq was down, the Dow was up slightly, S&P was pretty much unchanged. But what is interesting to see here is that we are starting to see, again, movements, money flows within the markets. As we talked about, I think it was last week, healthcare, year to date was the worst performing sector in the S&P 500. And lo and behold, as it turned out, for the week of ending last Friday, healthcare was the best performer in the S&P 500 for the week. However, it still remains the laggard, worst performing sector, in the S&P 500. And I think that, Harry, we talked about that. Number of reasons. One, a lot of it is the landscape around politics, I guess is the best way to put it. President Trump has been out there multiple times saying he wants to reduce, the price of prescription drugs, Medicare for all. I mean, it's just these trial balloons that get floated out there. I can't imagine. I think Kirk said it right. Last hour. I mean, you can't give it all away. It's just not going to happen.
Mark down 8:08 and 9 seconds. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so I mean
when you say we get it right, I like to mark these things.
Well,
down.
I always compliment you guys, but so what happened was that we did see movement last week. Technology, industrial struggled. Energy was the worst performing sector. Oil prices couldn't sustain the recent rally that had just taken place. So I think that...
Time out 1 second. What is going on with oil? As I drove by my corner store at about 5 minutes before 3 this morning, it's at $2.89 for regular unleaded, so you know that the premium blends are way above that. I heard some fool on a national show talking about, it's going to get better with the summer blends. They don't realize it gets more expensive when they start doing summer blends. They don't get less expensive. What's going on with oil? So
the price at the pump as of this past Friday, and again, this is nationally speaking. This is for unleaded. It was $2.84. When we looked at the end of last year, it was $2.27. That's a 25% move.
Yes.
And it's in all likelihood, all indications are it'll probably move higher.
And every penny is how much?
I think it's $1 billion, one to two.
Yeah.
But so don't be at all surprised if you start pushing, $3, nationally, as we get into the summer months, and it is more expensive.
And the
summer.
High tax states, and we're becoming one of them. And California, for example, already there at $3 and beyond.
And the price of West Texas, believe it or not, up 40% from where we were at the end of December. We were at $45 a barrel. Now we're at 63 and change. And there was discussion, with the sanctions that were put in, supply, tightening, demand increasing, and I mean that is bode well for a lot of the energy stocks. But we as consumers, end up paying for that. So it's sort of a catch-22. I mean, energy year to date is up. The sector's up 16, almost 17%. And as far as being a carve out within the S&P 500. So that's pretty much the market update. As you mentioned earlier, you and Kirk, the progress that we've made with the equity markets. We're at the end of April, and the total return of the S&P 500 right now is pushing 18.5%. The index's average total return over the last 25 years has been 3.7%.
Wow.
So you think about, and Kirk's conclusion today was, everything is working well. I guess I'm going to be somewhat the
contrarian.
I'm not going to be the contrarian, but I think that in retrospect, think about it. I mean, if we were up 18% over 4 months. I mean, we always listen to clients and prospective clients say, "Well, see, if we did that over the last 4 months, what's going to happen over the last 8 months?" And I don't think we're going to have a total return of 54% in the equity market. So there's been a lot of discussion around somewhat of a consolidation in the markets. I think it would be healthy. I mean, what concerns us, there's a lot of complacency right now in the markets. And oftentimes when that happens, it doesn't end well. I would prefer, and I think all of us would prefer to sort of, travel that wall of worry as the markets move higher. And we haven't seen that this year. I mean, we were there at the end of the year, flipped the page, went through the Santa Claus rally, and we've sort of been off to the races ever since. I mean, we've had some pockets of down days, but I think pretty much, few and far between. And as you had indicated, we hit a closing high as of yesterday. So every day we move higher. It's not a closing high, for the year. It's an all-time closing high. And a lot of the strategists and analysts, got it dead wrong. Yep. I mean, and so now
again.
So now that old, the FOMO, the fear of missing out. So now you're seeing, a fair amount of institutional money pile in. The retail investors have not bought into this rally. And how do I say it in a nice way? When they do, and they will, that's going to pretty much mark, I don't want to call it a market top, but maybe somewhat of a temporary market top, because everybody's all in at that point.
And it's a shame. It's not their job, but if there was a different president, they would make it their job. If the media truly touted the outstanding performance of the past 2 years and 3 months, I don't even know. We would be at a level that we can't believe this. It's so incredible. Imagine if it got good publicity.
Well, we know
because you've used the term. You've often said these are Rodney Dangerfield type.
Right, and we're not going to, as much as you want it to happen, it's not going to happen, and it's not going to happen, through 2020. And if President Trump is reelected, it's not going to happen for the next 4 years after that. So, I think smart money is really understood that, and it's a matter of headline risk is usually temporary risk, but it's something that we have to be conscious of. I think the big issue is going to be the political risk. And we've always talked about it. And remember, for years it seems like it went away, particularly everything that was happening in Europe. And now all of a sudden, everything coming out of Washington, I guess I'll use the word overblown, if that makes any sense,
yep,
because
perfect.
It just literally, I mean, they grab hold of it, and it's, people. They walk around like they're zombies. It's like, oh my goodness, like the world's ended. Like, what are we going to do here? So I think that, seriously, you stay the course, And in all likelihood, you should be, rewarded for that.
Let's take our first break. When we come back, I also would like Chuck to have an opportunity to regale about the first quarter GDP results, because so many people miss this. There was a point not long ago, the Atlanta Fed was calling for a first quarter 0.2 of 1%. To the 16, let's see, it's 8 times 4 is 32. To the 32 listeners who thought they were going to the Atlantic City Blackjacks home opener, Chuck Malamut has absconded with your tickets. I'm going to be negotiating during the break to get them back. I am Hurley in the Morning. This is WPG. And Chuck Malamut presents every Tuesday morning in the 8 o'clock hour, in my humble estimation, and I've known him for a long time, the best in the business. 609-383-2010 to reach Chuck and Mike, Nancy and Kristen, the entire Malamut group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't go away.
People all over the Jersey Shore have found the easiest way to stay connected to South Jersey's talk station. It's the WPG Talk Radio app. Read free South Jersey news. Listen to your favorite talk shows. Send us pics and videos when you see breaking news. Wake up with the alarm clock feature and win cool prizes in the 1450 Club. It's all just a tap away with the WPG Talk Radio app. Download it now at WPGTalkRadio.com.
When you listen to WPG Talk Radio 104.1, you're tuning into living a healthier lifestyle. Town Square Media and Virtua Health are united on one mission for a healthier New Jersey. When you listen to WPG Talk Radio 104.1 or join the 1450 Club at WPGTalkRadio.com, you'll be connected to exclusive health and wellness information, and you can sign up to win great prizes.
Joint pain. Many suffer with it until it affects their ability to enjoy hobbies, work, or everyday tasks. Hi, I'm Dr. Scott Shofet, orthopedic surgeon and the medical director at the Virtua Joint Replacement Institute. If you suffer from joint pain, give us a call. We perform a quad-sparing knee replacement technique using robotic technology to ensure the best possible outcomes. For an appointment with the Institute that has a 99% patient satisfaction rating, call 1-888-VIRTUA-3.
Together, Virtua and WPG Talk Radio 104.1 have set out on a mission to make good health even more rewarding. Be well, get well, stay well. Virtua for life.
What is it costing you in vet bills for that convenience of just pulling open a bag of
formulated, extruded, processed cereal bits that cost a ton of money anyways?
How do you feed your dog to derive not only energy, but a good coat, bright eyes, and a great attitude?
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
I found his raw meat diet on Dynovite.com.
With just the raw meat and the eggs and the Dynovite and the Super Omega on top of it.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
It just balances out his body and his mind and his spirit.
Adding Dynovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
Their skin is so much better now that they're on the raw diet. I don't even give them the kibble anymore.
DINOVITE.com.
Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
We were just talking about the day that Chuck and I and Margie, and we had a wonderful time at then Veterans Stadium. I did call it an error, but let me say for the first time, this is very kind of me, Chuck, because I've been ribbing you about this for over 30 years. I said error as soon as Chuck missed the ball, but it was a very tough catch. He had to leave the box that we were in. We were on an on-field box. Steve Brogg, if you're listening, thank you. Steve Brogg's dad was a great man, and he was president of Spencer Gibson, became the chairman of the board, and we were on the field at Veterans Stadium. Chuck had to get out of the box, which that was a little bit of a maneuver you had to do because you're all boxed in. Fenced in. Thank you, Kirk. And he got out, and he got his hand out. And I to this day, I vividly remember the sound, the crack of it hitting Chuck's hand. Bloop, popped out. I called it an error, Chuck, but I want to admit all these years later, it was not an error. It was a really good try.
Well, thanks, Harry. But truth be told, trying to catch the ball
And
with the left hand.
Yes.
And the right hand, I had your chicken.
Yes.
I had your dinner.
Yes.
Okay, so I could have thrown your dinner away
And you
and
didn't.
gone for the ball. So I took one for the team there.
You did. The food, I didn't lose one item off my plate, and Chuck still almost made the catch. Thank you, Chuck.
All right, let's move on to GDP.
Okay.
Enough of because I don't know
All right,
how
so
we
the Atlanta Fed was calling for 0.2, and there was all this just wrong again stuff, and it was 3.2.
So 3.2 is where the number came, and I think when you look at the number, it was attributed to a couple things: a buildup of inventory, they got pushed into the system, positive net trade. Now, those two items, I think you have to really take a serious look at them because that could be temporary. And saying that, the domestic sales that we've seen here in this country have weakened somewhat over the last couple of years. And we do expect second quarter GDP to be around 2%. So I know that
Atlanta Fed said 1.6.
I know that you guys had a party here at the end of the 8 o'clock hour.
Yeah, I love
at
when
the
they're
end of
wrong.
7 o'clock hour. But
I love when they're wrong.
I just wanted, I don't want to say truth be told, but I think that it was look. Obviously, it's a great number.
Why are they so inconsistently wrong? Or why are they so consistently wrong?
I think it's just tough to get these numbers. I mean, you think about
it's a fair comment.
When you look all the activity that takes place, in our country, from east to west coast. I mean, it's really. I think for the most part they do a relatively good job. I will agree with you that I think it was the February jobs report. They came in at 20,000, if my memory serves me correctly, and the estimate was like 180. I mean, that was a big miss.
Yeah, it
now, when you
that was revised upward, but it was
to like the $30,000 or 30,000 number. But what happens is that those numbers over time, it's like with GDP. You take month in and month out, or quarter in, quarter out, and it sort of even out over time. So you will get those aberrations. When it comes to the reporting.
Good stuff. So first quarter GDP.
So we covered that.
I know we did, but I was just as a point of emphasis going to say, at 3.2, that wildly exceeded expectations.
Well, it did because we were talking, estimates of roughly 2 to 2.3. You think about it, you had the government shutdown, which cut into GDP. The economy obviously grew faster than the anticipation than the previous quarter, 2.3%. But again, the net exports and the inventories, contributed 1% and 0.7% respectively. So I think that's a big part of the number here. So I guess don't be at all surprised if. I don't think we're going to get to 3.2 next quarter. I don't think anybody doesn't. But I'll tell you what, Harry, I would be very, very pleased, if we're north of 2, 2.5. But again, these numbers.
Then you're at the half point. Say it's 2, and I think hopefully it'll be a little better. So 3.2 and 2. If you income average that for the first half of the year, you're 2.5+%, closer to 2.6, I guess, and then you go from there and. I mean, it's a lot better than the fractional growth we were seeing.
I think as Kirk identified last hour, there's no recession on the horizon. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And do you realize that the Fed meets today and tomorrow?
Didn't know that.
Okay,
I'm usually on top of
they
these things.
do, but I mean,
the reason that's not in my orbit is because we already know they're taking no.
It has gotten absolutely no mileage
because
at all.
There's zero chance that they're going to increase rates, but by the end of the year, there's a very good chance they might lower rates.
Imagine for a minute.
Who would have thought that?
Imagine for a minute if the Fed took some action tomorrow.
Ooh.
Either positive or either increasing or decreasing rates. Imagine.
Well, let's play with that. Let's play.
Would the market be taken by surprise?
Yes, because nobody's talking about it. So by definition, it would be a shock. It would be an earthquake. But they're not going to raise. So I take that completely out of probability, zero probability of that. And I don't think now's the time they're going to lower. But if they did lower, would markets be adverse to that?
But let's answer the first part of the question. I mean, so we just talked about GDP at 3.2, beating expectations. Now, do you think the Fed could look at that and say, "Oh, we need to kind of slow things down a little bit here. So maybe we need to go back and move rates higher."
In a normal environment, I would answer yes to that because that makes perfect sense what you just said. But he messed it up so bad coming in that he won't do that now. The Fed will not do that.
I agree with you, and
but it's true. What you said is more true than not, though.
And most analysts that cover the Fed, agree with what you said just a minute ago, is the fact that don't be at all surprised if rates are cut as we get to the end of the year. But if GDP keeps going and we keep printing these these remarkable job growth numbers at the end of each month, and jobless claims continue to decrease, and you get a little bit of a movement in prices. Let's say the price of the pump does move to $3 or $3.25 or $3.30 a gallon.
I think there's a really good chance.
Then all of a sudden, then inflation is back. And the Fed's, what is the Fed looking to do here? What are one of their major goals? They want to they want to keep inflation in check, I think is the best way to put it. So, look, you think about it, no one really understood the complexities of what happened last October as it was unfolding, other than the fact that the markets, listened to every word that Chairman Powell had to say, and as a result of that, reacted on, I guess, actually overreacted, because the markets, Harry, as you know, never get it totally right. It's either too far to the left or too far to the right, and the pendulum starts swinging, and ultimately you get that happy median. And what I find pretty remarkable is, we are halfway through earnings season right now, first quarter, and you really haven't seen. You've seen upward movement in the markets, making record closes, but you haven't seen these big moves like 1%, 1.5% a day, and so it's been rather muted.
Is this because some of the results have been companies not meeting their expectations, and some have? Is this been a mixed bag?
Well, I think you've had both.
Yeah.
You start your day and you watch the earnings come across, before market, and then you watch after market, and obviously the market moves, during the trading day, but no one day makes the market. But for the most part, the majority of the earnings have either met expectations or they have beat expectations. We're finally starting to see financials participate, and it's been a long time. And financials did not participate in the recent rallies that we have seen in the market. And a lot of the punchers are saying, well, you can't really get financials to move because the yield curve is so flat. Mm-hmm. But now you are starting to see a fair amount of momentum, money move in from growth into value, which includes dividend-paying stocks, which includes positions that are typically referred to as financials.
Chuck, we're going to take our halftime break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little geopolitical, because one of my least favorite times is approaching. And we've had this in the past 27-plus years. We've had this on the every 4-year cycle, and how our financial markets are impacted when one side roots for our economy to go bad so that they have a better chance of success. And I think that's the environment that we're in right now. Chuck Malamud is here for all of your financial planning needs. Call Chuck at 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010. This portion of our program is also brought to us by Hayfitz & Associates. And tonight's the night. We've been promoting this for several weeks now, and the turnouts have been great. I hope you're all set for tonight at 6 p.m. at Scott's office, which is 609 New Road. That's right on Route 9. I hope you attend, because I've shared a few personal stories with you, friends of mine that actually have attended these seminars and have been able to position themselves in a much better way than they were before. Prescription drug coverage that was available that folks didn't know about. And here's the story. Rolando Lobo will be presenting tonight at 6 p.m. at Scott Hayfitz, Hayfitz and Associates. Rolando will be talking about and explaining Medicare Parts A and B, the difference between having a supplemental versus an advantage plan, and your prescription drug coverage. Hayfitz works with numerous carriers to provide you with the best options for your insurance needs. Hayfitz is located conveniently, Route 9 in Linwood, 609 New Road. When you call, and please do RSVP today if you haven't done so, 609-872-0001. And it's again tonight at 6 p.m. 609-872-0001. I'll repeat for a third time. 609-872-0001. And please tell them that Hurley in the Morning sent you. With Chuck, I am
Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 104.1 and WPGTalkRadio.com.
And now, a message from Vistaprint. This is a cow. The cow that made the milk that was made into the cheese that made Tober Dairy Farm into the talk of the craft fair. But cheese only lasts so long. The impression a small business like Tober Dairy Farm makes can last much longer, with the right business card to back it up. That's why Vistaprint is offering 500 truly personalized business cards starting at $9.99. That's 500 cards with exactly the look you want for just $9.99. Plug your information and logo into hundreds of fresh designs tailored to your type of company, or upload your own original layout. Pick from paper stocks like matte, glossy, or uncoated. You can even upgrade to a unique touch like rounded corners. The choice is yours. The time is now. I said now, not cow, Farmer Tober. Get 500 business cards starting at $9.99 with promo code 1010. That's promo code 1010 at checkout on Vistaprint.com. Vistaprint. Own the now.
Hiring? Aren't you tired of hoping the right candidates see your job posts and apply? It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. That's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Instead of waiting for great candidates to find you, ZipRecruiter finds qualified candidates for you and invites them to apply. Then its powerful technology reviews every application and even spotlights the top candidates, which means you never miss a great match. So instead of hoping you find that needle in the haystack, ZipRecruiter finds it for you. And hiring is a whole lot easier.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is Atlantic City's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 104.1 and WPGTalkRadio.com.
We're back, all about your financial matters with Chuck Malamut. And Chuck, we left on a geopolitical note there, cliffhanger, the political backdrop and the potential for creating more market volatility. I meant what I said. We see it already. One side wants to trash the economy because they would rather have power. And not to make your show political, but that's the reality of why everybody should be acknowledging we have the highest markets we've ever had. We have the lowest unemployment we've ever had, the highest work participation rate we've ever had. More Americans are working than ever before. The Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500 have set multiple, too many to count records and so on. But for this whole next year and a half plus, it's going to be one side trashing. It's just the way it is.
So Harry, you're absolutely right. So for the most part, all the drama that has come out of Washington, it's been for the most part ignored by the markets, as the markets have really focused on the economy. And look, I don't think any of your listeners would disagree, but there's going to be increased gridlock as we get ramp up to the 2020 election. More potential investigations, more court battles So this political uncertainty, could become more of a pressing risk, Harry, as we, and could very well push onto the markets. Now, you think about everything that's happened has gone largely ignored, but don't be at all surprised if that changes as we move closer to a year from November.
But they want to win, and the side that's in wants to tout how great it is. The side that wants to get power wants to make it look not so good.
Well, of course, and
they'll have help from the media.
And they'll have a lot of help from the media. And, I think the last hour you guys, covered it spot on with, and I won't get political here, but with Joe Biden. I mean, it's just, I think for the Democrats, to compete with President Trump, they really need a viable candidate. And Harry, look, how many have they paraded out so far? It's over 20, right?
Over 20. I think it's 21.
And I think, was it Bernie Sanders or maybe Joe Biden now? But I don't think Joe Biden has the energy to endure that kind of campaign. I mean, I think, as you said, he's a young 76, but 76 is not 56.
No.
And the fact, and I think the pundits on the other side will say, well, President Trump is sort of an elder statesman as well, but
he has shown an age-defying
yes. Look,
caliber.
There are some people, and I'll put him in that camp where age doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and he's like the
Energizer
bunny, right?
Yeah.
That just keeps going and going and going.
It's true. So he's overcome that issue. That's not going to be an issue for him. It's going to be a big issue for Bernie and for Joe.
Yeah, so let's talk about issues for a minute, because one of the items that keeps cropping up is trade.
Mm-hmm.
It's likely that there's going to be some sort of agreement. I'm going to say in the relative near future, because they're what I'm seeing and reading is they're in the final stages. But we don't think that the trade issues, Harry, are going to go away. We could get to an agreement within a month or two. That's obviously good news. But the tensions that are out there between our country and China, it's not going to go away.
But I heard a really good update that says that we're basically just a couple of issues from a deal, and that they feel that one more gathering to discuss, I think we're going to see a deal here.
I agree, but I don't think that's going to be the be all end all. I think you're going to continue to have.
I agree with you in the long game, but it will be good news when it happens.
And then the other thing that's going to happen.
Do you agree?
I do agree, but the other thing that's going to happen is this doesn't end with U.S. and China.
That's right.
We will.
But that's the toughest one.
It is that we will move on. To other countries and other regions. So I think that that could, take away a little bit from what's happening, in the equity markets. Just sort of, an FYI, and something that your listeners need to be aware of, because Harry, you think about it, have we really heard anything about trade at all in the last 3 to 4 weeks?
Only China.
Yeah, and I think it's been a headline.
Because the other deals seem to be baked in and well received.
So why don't we move on? As I mentioned to you a few minutes ago, we're starting to see a rotation particularly in the U.S. equity markets. There's growth has certainly beaten value. I mean, if you look, for instance, at technology, the best performing sector in the S&P 500 year to date, it's up over 27%. In the meantime, financials, energy, utilities, all dividend paying stocks have lagged technology. So we think those areas, the technology might be a little expensive here, and we're starting to see some movements into more cyclical type sectors and defensive sectors. So as a result of that, don't be at all surprised if that continues as we move through, the remainder of this year.
Good stuff. The Social Security issue, you and I, we've made it really a real point of emphasis on your program for almost 30 years now, because we saw what was happening, and we knew back then that we're baby boomers ourselves, and that the day is going to come where the largest number of recipients in the history of the Republic are going to come along. And now there's this new year. Mr. President, how are you, sir? There's this new estimate, and they're always changing. I don't really know substantively what's ever happened that they keep on picking these dates into the future. I think it's a little phony, to be honest with you, Chuck, but they say that in 2034, we lack the infrastructure to handle the recipients versus those who would be paying in, and that basically in the year 2034, we have a real crisis.
Remember growing up, and I did see your Facebook post the other day about the phone. Oh, gosh.
867-5309.
But
you actually saw that.
I saw that,
Chuck
yeah.
saw social media. I can't believe I love it.
So there was,
you just made my day.
What was a song? There was a song about the year, I can't remember this, 25, 20, 2020. I don't know what it was.
I know the song you're talking about. It's almost that year.
But
it seems so futuristic.
Back then, but so here's what happens.
In the year 25.
So, Harry, stick to your day job.
Okay.
Much better with that. But anyway, the estimates right now that the trust fund that's backing Social Security would basically zero out in 2034. Now, that doesn't mean that Social Security payments would stop to recipients, but what it does mean is that the benefits would drop to about 77% of the original promised levels through the year 2095. When this report was released a decade ago, the trust fund was projected to be depleted in 2039. So you think about it, 10 years ago we thought we would go to 2039. So now we're moving that up to 2034. So we have, I don't know, Harry, we have talked about Social Security, it seems,
for 27 years.
I mean, it's been a topic every 2 or 3 weeks that we, per month that we're out here talking with you and your listeners.
Because it's unsustainable at the rate it's at.
So this is the first time that, we always believed, and we didn't have a number per se, that, when we talk with, clients, prospective clients that are, potential retirees, I guess is the best way to put it, that Social Security, as it will be around, but the benefit will probably be reduced as identified here in what we just chatted about, and the year that you are eligible.
The benefit will be reduced for whom?
I think if this holds true, Harry,
because you start messing with people that have been paying for 50 years into this.
I think it means when it says originally promised levels. So to me, if you read between the lines, what I take away from that is that if I'm collecting $2,000 a month in Social Security and I am, quote, retired,
you'll keep that.
I don't know. I don't. So read between the lines.
Well, you're going to have a nation flipping out and voting a whole lot of people out of office if this goes down.
I know that, but so let me just read what I'm reading from. But rather would drop to 77% of their originally promised levels through the year 2009. So that, if I'm reading between the lines, that's telling me that for those that are anticipating to collect Social Security and for those that are collecting Social Security, they're going to take a 25% haircut.
I will speak. I only speak for me, but on rare occasions, I speak for all of America. I, Harry Hurley, hereby say, if they cut folks' Social Security, not benefit, entitlement, and I use that word in its highest purpose meaning, if they were to cut 25% from the recipients, they will literally end their political careers in one swoop in the very next election. And I'll be leading the charge.
I agree with you.
Because they're not cutting their pensions.
See, entitlement programs are always a questionable item in any election. Now, it seems like 2034 is a long time away, but in reality, it's not.
I know how old we'll be in 2034, and we will not have been collecting for all that long. And then they're going to say, and starting next month, it's 25% less?
Well, it's actually 23% less.
Okay.
But
I'm a liar.
But who's splitting hairs at that point in time. So, but I
thought that was going to be 23% for future retirees.
When I read it, I read this 3 times, and then when finally
read it again.
A zero trust fund does not mean the payment of Social Security benefits would also go to zero, but rather would drop to 77% of their originally promised levels through the year 2095. So my read on that is that it impacts everyone.
Yeah, I take it that way too. I listened very intently.
When I read it the first time, I said, okay, no big deal. If you're collecting, you're good. It's those that are paying into the system that ultimately, are obviously very suspicious. And
I'm going to get a clarification on that because somebody will be able to interpret that. But I think it's very clear what you just read, Chuck. That appears that it will affect all Social Security recipients, that maybe you were earning something prior to 2034, and by 2034 to 95, it will be, and most won't be around anywhere near 95 at that point. Maybe that's going to be for future retirees. But I read it as you have interpreted it. They would be cutting the benefit by 23%. That would be people that paid into that in cases 60 and more years paid into that for that to be done.
And imagine every year, you check your projected benefits, you build it into all your modeling, you build it into your, to your retirement and your expenses and your income, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I just took a 25% haircut. So what am I going to do? And imagine if that were to happen, it would be pretty devastating to the country, I think.
There'd be nearly 435 new members in the House and 100 new senators as quick as people could do it.
Well, yeah, you look at it from one side, I look at it from the other side. Imagine what the impact could potentially be to the economy. If there's less income earned, then there's less available spending.
To spend. Yeah, it would hurt the economy big time. Here's what I know. You know finance, I know politics. No politician is going to vote. Thank you, Jennifer. No politician is going to vote to cut people's benefits by 23%.
Yeah, I agree with you, Harry. But I just wanted to float that out there.
But they're saying it.
And they're saying it in numbers. So we do have time to correct this. It's just a matter of if government is willing, to swallow hard and take all the right measurements and reduce what they spend. But I find that highly unlikely.
It's like RoboCop. The first directive is their survival. That's why I know they will never allow this to happen. They'll say such things, and this is not the legislature saying this. This is more the executive branch saying it because they're responsible for administering it. And they're basically saying, hey, it's like a math equation. If we have this many retirees, the one thing that nobody is paying that much attention to, Chuck, is that World War II baby boomers, you and I, and Don Hurley, and my brother, and my sisters, we will be a record number of recipients. We break the back of the Social Security system.
Agreed, and that's why the numbers are the numbers. And you think about it, 10 years ago, when this survey was completed, or analysis was completed, we'd be quote broke in 2039 or zero. We'd be at zero, and now that has since moved to 2034. So, Harry, let's move it. Well, okay, so we go 10 years out. It's close to 2000. It's 2030, roughly. So, I guess the only conclusion there is that only time will tell.
I've had a dream my whole lifetime, Chuck. Even as a young person, I don't consider myself an old person, but even as a very young person, I started paying into this when I was 14.
We all did.
Yeah, well, not everybody. Some people didn't start working until later, but many people start at that young. You go get your working papers, and I worked the cat rack at $1 Million Pier, and that's on the few thousand that I made that year.
I worked the water guns. It was awful.
Oh God, you get soaked. That's terrible. I liked the cat rack. I taught myself to juggle, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I ran a business. I had the apron, responsible for the money and settling up and all that, ringing the bell. Every time you rang that bell, you said that you put that much money into the kitty. Now, I was thinking not long after I was paying into Social Security, as a very young person, probably in my teens, not even early 20s, that I wonder if this is even going to be around in 60 years, 50 years. And as I've gotten older, I've become more and more leery that I know they can't get to the point where it won't be there at all because, again, they want to win the next election.
It'll, as we've said this, and I feel like a broken record, Social Security will be there. The format as you know it today is going to change.
But they already gave us the change, and that's the one that they should live with. They gave us the change. It's now not 65; it's closer to 67.
But Harry, look, you've been doing this a long time. They'll come back and take another bite of the apple. I'm totally convinced of that, and that might not happen for another decade. I don't know when, but
So everybody save those papers now. If you do it digitally, I signed up electronically, so I no longer even get that one that they send in the mail every 2 years or whatever it is. I can go on anytime I want, and I know.
Well, they don't mail anymore.
I thought they do if you didn't do digital. Okay, well they used to, and I haven't. I've been on digital for a few years now. But my point is, if you remember, take a screen capture of it. Remember the promise, and if it's ever different, remember that.
The other exercise that I think all your listeners should do on an annual basis, they should go, to SSA.gov, and if they haven't created an account, it'll take less than 2 minutes. They ask a number of questions to validate your credentials and your identity, and what happens is that PDF will then populate. And I think what you really want to take a look at, obviously everybody gets, laser focused into the benefit, but what drives the benefit is the income earned. And you might want to go back and make certain that all your income was properly reported, to Social Security.
Good advice. Yeah, that's true. That's very important because that's what they're basing it on. And then if you still have a number of years before retirement age, they're forecasting the benefit that it says you can earn at retirement. You've got to keep working and earning, because if you all of a sudden stopped working or earned less, then that ultimate number will be less than what they're forecasting. They're banking on the fact that you're going to continue to participate in the workforce at the level that they've seen you do. Chuck, I love this one. We covered GDP enough. I love this one because this helps people. It's very relatable. It's extremely real. And that is that technology and all kinds of other factors are changing the workplace, eliminating, and we know from our career, there used to be people that pushed change carts. That was a job. It was a dirty job because the coins were so dirty, but you'd push that all around the floor and give change. Well, you don't do that anymore. It's gone. I believe housekeeping attendant jobs, I think front desk attendant jobs or front desk agents, I think there are a lot of classifications. People that prepare food and fast food things. And the reason I say this, Chuck, it's already happening now. There are hotels operating that the position of maid no longer exists. It's robotically cleaned.
So where we are right now, roughly the work performed by humans versus the work performed by machines, we're going to see a continual shift. Right now, that's about 70% humans, 30% machines. We believe that over the next 3 years, Harry, that number is going to shift to more like 60-40.
Wow.
60 humans, 60% humans, 40% machines. And we look at
one day it's going to be more.
And this was done over 12 different industries: automotive, aviation, energy, financial services, infrastructure, oil, gas, and professional services. So it's not like it's just focused in hospitality. It's focused across a lot of different sectors that drive the economy.
Oh, sure. I mean, look, toll takers. I mean, you and I could just play a game. Your turn, Chuck. Pick one. We know of so many jobs that basically don't exist anymore. And there will be more that will be automated out of existence.
Exactly. Yeah. So
really the question is, new job skills are needed.
Absolutely.
You need to pursue the type of training, retraining to go into a field that is not being automated, at least ever or anytime soon. Because most jobs, you could automate almost every job. There are some that you want to have a human element, a human touch, but you could automate a lot of positions right out of existence.
You could, and it will. It'll continue to happen. There's no doubt about it.
Warehouse things, they now have the machines that go grab stuff and move it. They're going to have, instead of having drivers that do the trucks, we know it now, there'll be automated trucks.
There will be.
And there are now. It's in California and there's other places. This stuff is beta tested. It's actually beyond beta testing. I think we're going to have drones delivering pizza, drones delivering your packages. So there's another whole area that's going to be completely changed. Final 30 seconds.
So look, I have a few topics that I'm going to save for next week.
Okay.
I think bottom line, we kind of talked about it. The market obviously making new highs across. The NASDAQ, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones. International markets have worked well. Also, I would just I'm at the point in time where I just want to sleep with one eye open here.
Yeah.
Because while the moves have been great and we've all participated, I think somewhere, on the horizon, we just need to be a little bit careful here.
Very, very informative hour, Chuck. Thank you. 609-383-2010 to reach Chuck Malamut, the official financial advisor. Make him yours. Thank you, Chuck.
Welcome, Harold. Talk to you. I'll see you next week.
Look forward to it.
Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 104.1 and WPGTalkRadio.com.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff. Brought to you by Integrity Physical Therapy and the law offices of Richard A. Stoloff, Linwood, and Philadelphia.
If you have a teenager, you wouldn't be surprised that a recent study found that almost 95% of them are spending more time on screens and tech and not getting enough sleep or exercise. All three of these behaviors have been linked to negative consequences for the health of our kids, including increased risk of depression, poor school performance, and obesity. It's recommended that teens get between 8 and 10 hours of sleep per night and 1 hour of vigorous physical activity each day. What can we do? Well, we can start by setting an example and making fitness and sleep a priority in our own lives. We can set parameters such as a nightly bedtime and make it a family goal. We can work together to limit screen time and be active together as a family. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Brought to you by Integrity Physical Therapy with 4 locations. Put yourself in their hands. And by the law offices of Richard A. Stoloff. Attention you expect, results you deserve.
Non-attorney spokesperson. Ad sponsored by OpenJar Concepts. Attention veterans and active duty military. If you were issued earplugs between 2002 and 2016 and were diagnosed with hearing loss or ringing in the ears, you may be entitled to compensation. The manufacturer of these military earplugs recently paid $9.1 million to resolve claims that their earplugs were defective, potentially exposing service members to damaging sound levels that could have resulted in hearing loss or tinnitus. If you or a loved one were issued earplugs and were diagnosed with tinnitus or hearing loss, don't wait. You fought for this country, and our attorneys want to fight for you. Call 800-856-2940 now for a free legal consultation and to see if you may be eligible to file a claim. Time restrictions may apply, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. So call 800-856-2940 now. Again, 800-856-2940. That's 800-856-2940.
Get free, unlimited South Jersey news at WPGTalkRadio.com. This is Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 104.1 FM and 1450 AM.
And this portion of Hurley in the Morning brought to us by The Closet Factory. This is Harry Hurley. I'm pleased to recommend The Closet Factory. Let me tell you a story. This is not made up. It happened. And I had this conversation with a friend just a few weeks ago. She was in a hurry, getting ready for work for the day, and had to bring in the whole formal wear that she would be wearing that evening at an event. And working all day and going right to the event, having to have everything. Got the dress out of the closet, no problem. Couldn't find the shoes because the closet isn't organized the way that with the Closet Factory it could be. The stress of it. Then her husband couldn't find his tuxedo shirt. All this can be changed by calling the Closet Factory at this special early in the morning number, 609-385-2040. 609-385-2040. Tell them Harry sent you.
104.1 FM and 1450 AM WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ 97.3 HD3 Millville, South Jersey's talk station.
A lawsuit to stop subpoenas. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It's a new way for President Trump to keep his business records away from House Democrats. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
President Trump and his children are suing Deutsche Bank and Capital One in an effort to prevent them from providing financial records requested through congressional subpoenas. The lawsuit filed in a federal district court in New York is asking the court to declare the subpoenas invalid and prevent the banks, which are major lenders to the Trump organization,